What is going on, guys? It's Alex from Techaeris.com, and tonight we are going to take a look at the Huawei Mate 10 Pro. Straight ahead. Welcome back, guys. It's Alex again, and we are going to take a look at the Huawei Mate 10 Pro, which has been in the news quite a bit these past weeks. It's really been dealt a curveball with the dealings with China and the United States. A lot of political things going on there. But we're going to look past all that because we are not political here, and that's for you guys to decide. But we're going to take a look at the phone itself and tell you exactly what we think about this phone. First, let's go over a little bit about the phone specs, which are really kind of impressive, actually. Huawei's running their own CPU chip on this, the high silicon Kirin 970 octa-core. The GPU is a Mali G72, and you can configure this phone in with 4 gigs of RAM or 6 gigs of RAM. And then with storage, for storage, you get 64 gigs or 128 gigs. This is the 6 gig, 128 gig capacity Mate 10 Pro that came for a review unit. Has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, 6-inch display, which is a FHD plus display, so it's 1080 by 2160, a little bit better than better than HD, but not Quad HD like a lot of the other flagship phones that are out there. It has a dual 12 megapixel, 20 megapixel camera in the rear, and an 8 megapixel camera in the front. It has all the regular sensors, fingerprint sensor, proximity sensor, ambient light sensor, all the stuff that's pretty basic on most flagship devices these days. So you're going to get everything that flagship device has here. Also, is water resistant and Bluetooth 4.2, aptX, HD, LE, all this other stuff, and most of the LTE bands are covered. I'm using this on T-Mobile, so it worked great on T-Mobile, no issues at all. In the box, you're going to get the phone, the Huawei Supercharge Power Brick, quote, air quotes here, Supercharge. Pretty much a rapid charge power brick. It's USB Type-C, so you'll get that rapid charge. There is no wireless charging on this phone, which for some is an issue. For me, it's not that big of an issue. This battery lasts a long time, so wireless charging is great. Don't get me wrong, I love it on the iPhone 10 and on the Galaxies and other phones, but for whatever reason, Huawei decided it wasn't necessary here. You also get earbuds in the box, and of course your Type-C cable. Huawei throws in a TPU case, which is decent. It's not the greatest, but I mean, it's just a little TPU case. So actually, it's nice because it does show off the design of the phone. So it's not a, you know, it gives you a little protection, but it's not rugged. You get the pre-installed screen protector on this already. There's a thin screen protector installed on here, so that's a nice touch. Of course, documentation and instructions all inside the box, and that's the box, and we don't care about the box, so we'll get rid of that, and we'll put the phone out, and we're going to take a look at the phone. You know, Huawei's designs in the past have been all metal phones. The Mate 9, I owned a Mate 9 Pro, and it was a great phone. I love the design. It's really was a great design. But they have since gone to a glass and metal design this year for the Mate 10 Pro, and by God, it's sexy. I love it. This review unit came in midnight blue, and I wasn't at first thrilled that, you know, before I opened the box, I was like, I've seen pictures and I really like the color, but man, it's really nice. It's a really nice blue. It really the color's really, it's kind of like it's got this little hue thing going on where it changes kind of colors, kind of a rainbowish thing going on. And then this band up here that they put, kind of this matte band across the cameras here, really is a nice design touch. I thought that they did a great job in that. That's just a personal preference. Some may not like it, but I like it. I think the design is great. It's all glass, front and back, of course, and then aluminum along the edges here. Just like most other flagship phones nowadays. I mean, most of these phones are coming in glass and aluminum. So you know, you want to be careful. You don't want to drop this. I'm sure it will be susceptible to breakage. We don't do drop tests here, so we're not going to test that. Let's see here. The design is, let's take a walk around real quick if we can. You have a USB-C port at the bottom with one speaker and some microphones, and your antenna lines, of course, at the top. One thing that they added here, oh, no headphone jack, by the way, and that's just kind of normal nowadays. At the top, you have an IR blaster, so if you're interested in controlling your televisions, that'll do it for you. And another microphone there. And on the side, you have the volume rocker and the power button. And what I liked about this is, and you know, other phones do this as well. It's not just this phone, but they do add a nice texture to the power button. So when you're using this in the dark or when you take it out of your pocket, you don't have to fumble around to see what button is which button. You kind of just know by feel. There, I mean, you can tell by the size as well, but it's nice to have that extra texture. It's a nice touch. SIM card slots on the side here. Of course, the fingerprint sensor on the back, and right in the center, dual cameras, Leica branded. Huawei has been working with Leica for a while. Dual LED flash, and all the basic stuff. Sensors on top, and front-facing camera, speaker, the earpiece and speaker up top. This does have dual speakers, so we'll get into that in a little bit. And of course, the front 6-inch panel, which is a FHD Plus 1080-2160, and is, to me, is a gorgeous panel. I really like this panel a lot. Speaking of the panel, let's run into the display real quick. A lot of phones nowadays are running Quad HD 1440, 2560, and it's a lot more pixels to push around. Might drain battery a little faster. With this, at least, you get that FHD Plus, but it's not pushing as many pixels, so I think that battery life is going to be a little bit better on phones with just an HD or an FHD Plus display. To be honest with you, I've tested a lot of phones, and I'm not gonna deny that Quad HD displays look great, but you can't discount FHD Plus or FHD displays. They look great. I don't think that this phone's display is any worse than a Quad HD display, and I think that because of that, with the battery savings, I think it's a winner for a lot of people. So it is HDR compliant, so you're gonna get nice deep colors and good deep blacks and nice whites, and all of that's great. Overall, display's excellent. Watching content and Netflix and movies and such is a joy on this phone. It's great. With the 18:9 aspect ratio, you do get some cutting off on the top and the bottom when you're in landscape, when you're watching videos, but some apps, not all apps, allow you to pinch to zoom, so you can actually pinch and bring that out a little bit, so you can actually use the entire screen. It will cut a little bit off the top and the bottom, but it's not awful. The iPhone X actually is a little bit worse at cutting things off. It's hard sometimes watching video on iPhone X. When you expand it out, you do lose quite a bit of top and bottom. Here on the 10 Pro, it's not as prevalent. Running Android 8.0, so it's the latest and greatest. So you'll see, should be here, Android. Where are you? There you are, Android version 8.0. And so that runs smooth. That's just to be expected. And Google's done a great job of improving Android and over the years, year over year. And it's a joy to use. There's just all the basic Android stuff that's there. Over top of Android 8.0, you have EMUI 8.0, and that's pretty much Huawei's skin And I see a lot of reviews, and a lot of reviewers kind of scoff at EMUI and talk a lot of crap about it. But I really enjoyed using it. It's very iPhone-esque. I think a lot of users that use iPhones will be pleased, and at least be able to acclimate themselves a little quicker with a UI of this sort. I mean, if you don't like the UI, you can throw a custom launcher over it. I happen to, for one of the first times ever with a phone, not felt the need to actually put a custom launcher on here. It works great. I like the icons. Yes, I have missed having custom icons on occasion, but it's not a deal breaker for me. I really enjoyed actually using EMUI on the Mate 10 Pro. It was smooth scrolling, everything, all the animations, everything is spot on. I mean, that's helped by the internals, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But there's a lot of different options inside of EMUI, and it's not unlike Samsung's user interface, where they like to add a lot of stuff in there. There's a few apps in here that are you're never probably going to use, like Files and Health and High Care, Mirror, Phone Manager, just a bunch of different types of Huawei software and apps that are extra on there that most people aren't going to use. But there are some good things in this: Mirror Share, Eye Comfort, Screen Recorder, Ultra Battery Saver, Home Screen Style, Color Mode, One-Handed UI. You can tap to take a screenshot, which is cool. Of course, the IR blaster's on there. Smart Cover, Voice Control. You just got to dig into the settings. There's a ton of stuff in here. And one thing I did like about this, it does allow you to change over to a dark mode, and that's really a sweet thing. I like dark mode quite a bit. So overall, Android 8.0 is great on here. That's just expected. EMUI is probably not everyone's cup of tea, but I feel that many reviewers give it a bad rap, and I don't think it's as bad as everyone makes it out to be. Pure Android is great to have if that's what you want. Go buy a Pixel 2 or an Essential phone. Those things with a pure Android experience. If that's your bag, then that's your bag. But for those who might be switching over from an iPhone, something like this is a little more familiar as far as the user interface. So I think that it's a really nice. So you can with EMUI, you can add an app drawer, or you can just leave it like an iPhone and just leave everything on your screen and not have an app drawer. I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated that are been using the Android for a long time, is they don't like that, not having an app drawer. But it can be fixed inside settings, so it's not a big deal. So performance, I had no issues here with anything. Zero lag in here. Everything's run smooth. It's silky smooth, and that helps to have the 6 gigs of RAM and that Boss processor inside. Everything renders nice and quick, and it's not an issue at all. So it's just pretty great performance experience. Browsing in the web is easy, and there's no stuttering, no lag, scrolling, pinch to zoom, double tap to zoom. Everything works great. I mean, this is flagship specs, so you're really getting your money's worth here as far as that goes. The camera, well, there's a 12 megapixel and a 20 megapixel on the back here. And one thing I will note, and you'll see it here, is that it does pick up fingerprints, but this is, after all, glass. It's going to happen. The dual cameras in the back, they are good cameras, but I will say that I can't say that they're the best cameras in the market. I do think that a higher end phone like a Pixel 2 XL or an iPhone 10 takes slightly better photos than the Mate 10 Pro. But that being said, this does cost less than those two phones, so you're still getting flagship performance here, in my opinion. and I think that the photos are more than acceptable for the average user. Now, there's going to be some smartphone pixel peepers out there and fanboys of certain smartphones are going to scoff at the Mate 10 Pro cameras, but I wouldn't listen to them. I admit there's better camera options out there, but they're going to cost you more. I think for the price point here, that the Mate 10 Pro takes pictures just fine. I don't, some of the backgrounds can be blown out from time to time, and colors are sometimes a little flat. But otherwise, I think most people will be just fine with this camera. I don't think that there's that big of an issue, especially at the price point. Speakers. So we have two speakers, dual speakers, one at the bottom and one at the top. The interesting thing is that when you have it in portrait mode, speakers only work with the bottom speaker, and the top speaker doesn't work. So it's a mono system. When you turn the phone in landscape, the top speaker engages, so now you have stereo, which I didn't quite like that experience. I think the speakers sound fabulous when in landscape and you have that stereo mode going, but when you go over to portrait and then that cuts out and it goes to mono, it ruins the experience. I know the iPhone 10 does portrait mode with both speakers, so you still have stereo, and I think Huawei should have opted for that. I don't understand why they did it that way, but maybe a software update or something could improve that. Battery life is fantastic on this thing. I will tell you that I regularly finished my day with at least 50% or over on battery life left on this phone. It's a massive 4,000 milliamp hour, and to tell you the truth, for this phone being as thin as it is, to get 4,000 milliamp in there is awesome. So there is absolutely no issue with battery life on this thing. This thing's amazing. Totally recommend this for battery life. Although if you need wireless charging, it does not here, so you might want to look elsewhere. But wireless charging is, again, one of those preferences things. Not everybody wants it, not everybody needs it, but some people do. This thing's priced at $729 right now on Amazon, and as I said earlier, Huawei's having a lot of issues with the government, with the U.S. government, and there's a lot of political talk around the company, and that's something you'll have to investigate and read on your own. At launch, this phone was supposed to launch on AT&T, but it did not. AT&T pulled the deal for whatever political reasons there were, and just recently Best Buy US and Best Buy Canada are also pulling Huawei phones off their shelves. So they're really dealing with a lot of stuff right now, and we don't know what the situation is. I'm not a big political guy, so I don't follow politics. All I can say is this phone's fantastic. The camera could use some improvements. The fingerprint sensor's amazingly fast. The UI is fast. Everything's just fantastic on this phone. The camera could, like I said, could use some improvements, but otherwise, this is a flagship device, man. And for $729, it's one of the best out there. It stands right up there with the iPhone 10 and other devices. It was a joy to use. I really enjoyed using this phone for the past few weeks, and I really don't have a whole lot of bad things to say about it other than the camera needs improvements. It's a fantastic phone. You should check it out. We'll throw an Amazon link down below. That's where you can actually buy these right now for the time being. I don't know how long that's gonna continue, but hopefully they'll be able to square away things with the U.S. government and get back on track, because this is a really fantastic phone, and it's sad that it's not going to, or it hasn't gained traction here in the U.S. as I think it should have. So at any rate, that is the Huawei Mate 10 Pro review. Read the full written review down below. I'll put a link down there, and don't forget, we're also running a giveaway. I'll put the link down below in there too. Make sure you enter that. We're trying to get to 1,500 subscribers. If you enter that and help us get up to 1,500, we'll be giving this Lenovo Mix 510 and a monster speaker away. So make sure you hit the link down below. Check out that giveaway. If you're coming to this video really late, then the giveaway may be over, but it's worth a shot if it's not. So take a look. And that is the Huawei Mate 10 Pro review, and we'll talk to you guys later.